I never should have stepped onto that trail. Can still hear her calling my name. It was supposed to be a simple sunset hike. Just me and my best friend Elise. Whisper Ridge Trail, they called it. Locals said it was cursed, but I just laughed it off. I was the adventurous one, always dragging Elise into something. She was hesitant, like always, but she trusted me. That was her first mistake. The air grew cold the moment we stepped under the canopy of trees. The sunlight just vanished. Elise grabbed my arm, her eyes wide. "Marina, maybe this wasn't such a good idea." I just smiled, patting her hand. "Don't worry, it's just a trail." What's the worst that could happen? The words feel like poison in my mouth now. We walked for maybe 10 minutes, the silence of the woods pressing in on us. It wasn't a peaceful quiet. It was heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Elise kept looking over her shoulder. "Did you see that?" She'd whisper. I'd shake my head, telling her it was just her imagination. But even I was starting to feel it. A prickling on the back of my neck. We weren't alone, I tried to keep things light, pointing out interesting trees, making jokes. But my voice sounded small, swallowed by the immense, ancient forest. Then we saw the symbols, carved deep into the bark of a twisted old oak. Strange, rune-like markings. They looked fresh, almost wet. I reached out to touch one, and a sudden coldness shot up my arm. I pulled my hand back, my heart starting to pound. That's when we heard it. A cry. Distant, echoing through the trees. It was faint, but it sounded wrong. Not animal, not human, too. It was a sound of pure agony. We froze, staring at each other, the same unspoken fear in our eyes. "What was that?" Elise whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't have an answer. I just grabbed her hand and said, "Let's go. Now." We started walking faster, practically jogging down the narrow path. The sun was gone now, replaced by a cold, blue twilight that made everything look sickly and strange. Fog rolled in, thick and wet, clinging to our clothes and muffling all sound. All sound except for the one behind us. A heavy, rhythmic crunching of leaves and snapping of twigs. Something large was following us. I switched on my headlamp, its beam cutting a frantic path through the gloom. Elise fumbled with her own flashlight. We swept the beams through the trees, desperate to see what was there. For a second, I caught it. A flash of something tall. Impossibly tall and thin, moving with a jerky, unnatural motion between the trunks. It was gone as quickly as it appeared. But I saw it. I know I did. Panic set in. We were running now, stumbling over roots, our breath coming in ragged gasps. The trail was getting harder to see. We passed scraps of torn fabric snagged on thorny branches, a flannel shirt, a child's sweater. It looked like people had been dragged through here. My blood ran cold. Then Elise screamed. "Ah!" I spun around. She was pointing her shaking flashlight at a huge boulder just off the trail. My stomach dropped. Scratched into the stone, in huge, jagged letters, was her name. Elise. The grooves were deep, fresh, and they were weeping a dark, thick, sap-like liquid that dripped slowly onto the moss below. Before I could even process what we were seeing, it happened. Elise let out a choked gasp, and she was just gone, yanked sideways off the trail with incredible force, as if by an invisible rope. Her flashlight clattered to the ground, its beam spinning wildly into the fog. "Elise!" I screamed her name, my voice cracking with terror. I didn't think. I just ran. I plunged off the path, straight into the darkness, crashing through thorny bushes and low-hanging branches that clawed at my face and arms. Thorns were suffocating, disorienting. All I could hear was my own frantic panting and the sound of Elise being dragged through the undergrowth ahead of me. And something else. Whispers. They swirled around me, seeming to come from every direction at once. My name, Marina Merida. They hissed. A chorus of ghostly voices pushed forward, desperate. My headlamp beam bounced chaotically, revealing a nightmare. Glitching, distorted images flashed in the darkness. Glimpses of glowing eyes peering from between trees. A hollow, ancient tree that seemed to pulse, its trunk gaping open like a mouth. I saw the creature again, a shadow bending and contorting around tree trunks in ways that were physically impossible. And then I saw her. Elise, being dragged across the forest floor, her fingernails clawing uselessly at the dirt. I pushed myself harder, adrenaline and terror fueling me. The whispers grew louder, closer. The woods twisted around me, the chase feeling like an eternity. Finally, I burst through a thicket of branches into a clearing. A perfect circle of flattened, dead grass. The echo circle. And in the center, Elise was standing. She was unnaturally still, her back to me. Elise, I panted, taking a step toward her. Elise, are you okay? We have to go. She didn't move. The air was dead silent. I walked closer, my boots crunching on the dead leaves. Elise, she turned around. Slowly, her face was pale, her expression completely blank. But her eyes, they were empty, void, like looking into two black holes. A chill that had nothing to do with the cold night air washed over me. She looked right through me, and a voice that was hers but not hers whispered, "It marked you too." My blood froze through. Behind her, a shadow detached itself from the tree line. It unfolded itself, rising up and up and up, tall, skeletal, with a featureless head that tilted at an impossible angle. It took one long, spindly step forward, then another. And then it charged, screaming directly at me. I escaped. I don't know how. I just remember running and not stopping until I saw the headlights of a car on the main road. They never found Elise. The police searched for weeks. But sometimes, at night, when the house is quiet and the wind is blowing, I swear I can hear her walking outside my window. The slow, deliberate crunch of her footsteps on the gravel, getting closer and closer.
Tara always said the mountains had secrets. She loved chasing them. Me? I just liked taking pictures. That day, the trail to Ravenwood Tunnel was supposed to be our last adventure before she moved away. The air was crisp. The autumn leaves were perfect. We were laughing, sharing stories, not paying much attention to the trail markers. It wasn't until the sun started dipping below the ridge that we realized we were lost, or rather, the trail was lost. We turned back, but the path we'd just walked, it wasn't there anymore. Just a thick wall of ancient trees we hadn't passed before. The forest went silent. No birds, no wind, nothing. It was a heavy, suffocating quiet. That's when we first heard it. A whisper like wind through a crack, but it sounded like our names. Elena, Tara. It seemed to be coming from ahead. We found the tunnel by following the sound. Ravenwood. It was bigger and darker than any photo I'd seen online. The entrance was a gaping mouth of crumbling brick, sealed with rusted iron bars. But a section had collapsed, leaving an opening just big enough to squeeze through. Tara, being Tara, grinned. "An exclusive tour," she said, switching on her headlamp. I felt a cold dread, a primal instinct screaming at me to run. But the whisper was stronger, pulling us in. The tunnel felt alive. It didn't want us to visit. It wanted us to stay. Inside, the cold was immediate. It wasn't just chilly. It was a deep, bone-aching cold that our jackets couldn't touch. Our flashlight beams struggled against the darkness, which seemed to swallow the light just a few feet ahead. It felt like wading through black water. Tara walked ahead, her headlamp a bouncing star in the void. "Come on, Slowpoke," she called back, her voice echoing in a strange, distorted way. I tried to answer, but my throat was tight. The walls were damp, covered in something slick. I swept my light across them and saw them. Handprints. Hundreds of them, overlapping, some fresh, some faded into the stone. They weren't just on the walls, but on the ceiling too, as if people had been crawling upside down. Then I heard her voice again, but not from ahead. It came from behind me, from the entrance we'd just left. "Elena, wait up." I spun around, my heart pounding. Nothing. Just the endless black. When I turned back, Tara's light was gone. I called her name. The only answer was an echo that twisted my voice into something monstrous. Panic set in. I ran, stumbling over the uneven ground, my own breathing roaring in my ears. I shouted for her, over and over. Deeper in the tunnel, a faint light flickered. Hope surged through me. It was our headlamp, sitting on the ground, pointing at the wall. But Tara wasn't there. As I got closer, I heard it again. "Elena." It was Tara's voice, clear as day, coming from the darkness just beyond the light. I aimed my flashlight, and for a split second, I saw him. A figure, impossibly tall and thin, standing at the edge of my beam. It didn't have a face, just a silhouette of pure static, like a glitch in reality. Then it was gone. I backed away slowly, my hand shaking so much the light danced across the tunnel. That's when the ground started to tremble. A low rumbling grew louder, and a cold wind rushed past me, smelling of rust and decay. I saw it then. A train. A phantom train, made of pale, shimmering light, barreling down the tracks that weren't there. It passed right through me. A wave of icy energy that knocked the air from my lungs. When the silence returned, Tara was standing there, right where the train had passed. She was just standing, staring straight ahead, her eyes wide and empty. She didn't respond to her name. It was like she was frozen in time. I grabbed her arm, and it was as cold as the tunnel walls. I started dragging her, pulling her back toward the entrance. Behind us, the tunnel groaned. The walls seemed to pulse, to breathe in and out. Rocks and dirt began to rain down from the ceiling. We had to get out. Tara suddenly snapped out of her trance, her eyes focusing on me. "Run!" she screamed, shoving me forward. We scrambled over debris as the tunnel collapsed behind us, the sound of tearing metal and crushing rock chasing us all the way. We burst out into the pre-dawn light, gasping, covered in dirt and terror. We just lay there on the cold ground, watching the sky turn from gray to blue. We didn't talk about it. We couldn't. We walked home in silence. Tara seemed different, quieter. The adventurous spark in her eyes was gone, replaced by something hollow. We tried to go back to normal, but the memory of that place was a shadow between us. The missing trail, the whispering darkness, the phantom train. I keep replaying it in my mind, trying to make sense of it. I don't know if Tara ever truly made it out of that tunnel. Sometimes when she's standing with her back to the sun, I see her shape on the ground, and I realize with a jolt of cold fear that she doesn't cast a shadow. I escaped Ravenwood, but I think I brought something else home with me. The engine sputtered, coughed, and finally died. Of all the nights, of all the roads, rain lashed against the windshield, blurring the world outside into a watercolor of darkness and dripping trees. No signal, of course, just my luck. A flash of lightning split the sky, and for a second, I saw it. A faint, flickering light off the road, through the dense woods, red and green. A sign, hope or something like it, sparked in my chest. I grabbed my pack, my flashlight, and pulled the hood of my jacket over my head before stepping out into the storm. The wind howled, whipping branches against my face as I pushed through the soaked undergrowth. The light grew stronger, resolving into letters. O-T-E-L. The rest was dark. The Starlight Motel. It looked like it hadn't seen a star or guest in decades. The neon sign buzzed erratically, casting a sickly glow on the peeling paint and boarded-up windows. The main door was slightly ajar, swinging gently in the wind, a silent, grim invitation. Staying in the car wasn't an option. With a deep breath, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air was thick with the smell of dust and decay. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom, revealing a lobby frozen in time. A layer of gray dust covered everything. The front desk, the cracked leather armchairs, a rack of faded postcards. A guest book lay open on the counter, its pages yellowed and brittle. I ran my finger over the last entry. The date was over 40 years ago. Water dripped rhythmically from a dark stain on the ceiling, the only sound besides the storm raging outside and the frantic beating of my own heart. I needed to find a dry room just for the night. A long hallway stretched out from the lobby, a tunnel of darkness. I called out, my voice sounding small and weak. "Hello, is anyone here?" Only the echo answered. I started down the hall, my boots crunching on unseen debris. The wallpaper, a floral pattern, was peeling in long, curling strips, like sunburnt skin. Doors lined both sides, each with a tarnished brass number. My light passed over room 7, room 9, room 11. The air grew colder, heavier. A floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around, my light slicing through the darkness. Nothing, just the empty hall. I shook my head, my nerves already frayed. It's just an old building, I told myself. Old buildings make noises. I kept walking. Then I heard it. A whisper, faint and staticky, like a radio tuned between stations. It seemed to come from everywhere at once. I stopped, straining to listen. It was a woman's voice whispering a single word, over and over. "Get out." My blood ran cold. I swept my flashlight beam across the walls, the ceiling. Nothing. I was alone. I had to be. I started walking faster, almost jogging, wanting to put as much distance as possible between me and that voice. I reached the end of the hall and found a stairwell leading down. The whispering grew louder, closer. I backed away, turning to run back the way I came, but as I turned, the door to room 12 slammed shut with a deafening bang. Then room 10. Then 8. One by one, the doors down the hallway crashed closed, a domino effect of pure terror, plunging the corridor into absolute darkness as they blocked the faint light from the lobby. I was trapped. The whispering was right behind me now, a chorus of voices, hissing and pleading. My only way out was down. I scrambled down the concrete steps, my flashlight beam bouncing wildly. The basement was a labyrinth of maintenance tunnels and storage rooms, filled with rusting shelves and forgotten luggage. The air was frigid, my breath pluming in front of me. The whispers followed, echoing through the pipes that snaked across the ceiling. I found a room filled with old filing cabinets. Pulling one open, I found stacks of guest records. I scanned the names, my light shaking. John Doe, Jane Doe, over and over. Then I saw the notes in the margins. Guest in room 13 reported screaming. Guest in room 13 vanished. Do not rent room 13? Suddenly, the single light bulb in the basement flickered on, casting a harsh yellow glare. In the far corner of the room, a shadow detached itself from the others. It was tall, impossibly thin, a silhouette of a man with no features. It just stood there, motionless. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I slowly backed away, my eyes locked on the figure. Then the light bulb exploded, showering me in sparks and darkness. I screamed and ran. I fled through the tunnels, the whispers swirling around me, the sound of dragging footsteps scraping on the concrete behind me. I burst through a door and found myself back on the main floor in a different hallway. This one was bathed in a pulsing blood-red emergency light. The walls seemed to breathe. The furniture in the hallway, a small table, a coat rack, began to slide across the floor on its own, blocking my path. I hurtled over the table, my heart hammering against my ribs. Ghostly hands, pale and translucent, began pushing through the wallpaper, reaching for me, their fingers grasping at my jacket, my hair. I batted them away, screaming, and sprinted down the corridor. I saw a fire extinguisher mounted on the wall. Ahead, my only exit was a heavy wooden door with a deadbolt. I could hear something crawling on the ceiling above me, a wet, clicking sound. I didn't dare look up. I ripped the extinguisher from its mount and ran at the door, swinging it like a battering ram. The wood splintered. Again, the lock groaned. One more time! The door burst open and I tumbled through, landing hard on the floor of another room. I slammed the door shut just as something heavy slammed against it from the other side. I looked around, panting. It was a bedroom, room 13, the source. The air was electric, humming with a malevolent energy. The room was pristine, unlike the rest of the motel. The bed was neatly made. A vanity mirror sat against the far wall. I pushed myself up, my body screaming with pain and exhaustion. I had to find a window, a way out. I took a step toward the mirror and froze. My reflection was there, but standing just behind it, inches from my own face, was the spectral image of a woman with hollow eyes and a silent, screaming mouth. I stumbled back with a cry, crashing into the wall. The room went wild. The lights flickered manically, revealing glimpses of twisted, agonized faces in the strobing darkness. The whispers became a roar of voices shouting my name. The creature from the ceiling was now scratching at the door, its claws tearing through the wood. I had to get out. I saw a narrow vent near the floor. It was my only chance. I kicked the cover off and crawled into the suffocating darkness of the maintenance shaft. I crawled on my hands and knees through the tight, dusty space. The sounds of the motel raged behind me, the screaming, the crashing, the scratching. I just focused on moving forward, one painful inch at a time. I could feel the cool night air ahead. I saw a grate. Freedom. I kicked it out and tumbled onto wet grass. I was outside. The storm had passed. The first light of dawn was breaking over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange. I was alive. I scrambled to my feet and ran, not looking back. I didn't stop until I hit the asphalt of the main road, my lungs burning. I bent over, gasping for air, tears of relief streaming down my face. I'd made it. I survived. I finally straightened up, looking down the road toward the sunrise, toward safety. And my heart stopped. Standing there, not 100 yards away, its neon sign flickering in the morning light, was the Starlight Motel. It was as if I had never left. The front door swung open slowly, a silent, grim invitation.